The Kings' eventual replacement for Anza Kopitar might come via a blockbuster trade. Julio Urias enjoys a lovely afternoon in the Inland Empire. And we're going to get caught up with the Lakers because we still don't know with precision what their offseason plans are. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is June 26, 2023. It is an absolutely lovely morning out there. Skies are clear. It's warm. I'm looking forward to getting outside and breathing some air. But before we do that, we are building something for LA here. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. I try to get back to every one of you. Even the ones who root for the Houston Astros. Anyway, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Speaking of the Houston Astros, from everybody in LA, let's give a nice golf clap to the Astros for avoiding getting swept yesterday. It only took you guys 11 innings. It only took 11. Really nice effort, fellas. So they win 6-5. Well done. But there was still good stuff for the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman collected his 2,000th career base hit. Mookie Betts hit his 19th home run. 19, and we're not even at the All-Star break. The Dodgers are 3 games behind Arizona in the West. Meanwhile, the LA Sparks are back at 500 with a 93-83 victory over Dallas. Nanika Ogwumike had her 7th double-double of the season, and Ogwumike has been selected to start in the WNBA All-Star Game for a 2nd consecutive season. Meanwhile, today, nothing. Enjoy some time at the beach. Go to Hooters after work. Drink a little too much. Who am I to judge? So we have now passed the speculation stage when it comes to the offseason for the LA Kings. There's speculation all over the place with every sport during the offseason, and most of it is complete crap. But now we actually have legit news sources going to marginally more legit reporters and saying that the Kings are calling the Winnipeg Jets to try to pry away 24-year-old power forward. There is such a thing as a power forward in hockey, by the way. Pierre Luc Dubois. And you can see why the Kings would want him. Now me, I prefer a goalie, but I could see why the Kings would want Dubois. The Kings' last championship window wasn't simply authored by the greatness of goalie Jonathan Quick. It came from big physical forwards, and Dubois, 24, could literally just slide in Anza Kopitar's spot when the captain eventually slows down, calls it a career. I mean, Kopitar's been amazing, but he's, been dishing out hits and been getting it back for over a decade. In order to get that upgrade, though, the Kings first have to purge themselves. A purge. Just like a high school cheerleader aiming to become prom queen in a size -14 dress. Got to get rid of things that you don't normally want to get rid of. The Kings have made multiple deals this offseason in order to create salary cap space. The second such trade from the Kings happened 2 days ago when they sent Sean Durzi to Arizona for pretty much nothing. A 2nd-round draft pick? Durzi's already in the NHL, a 2nd-rounder, really. But there was a bigger picture reason. LA has been giving away players, and for the most precise answer, we go to another team. Nashville general manager Barry Trotz told The Athletic, quote, "There's no money in the system," unquote. In other words, teams such as the Kings are up against the salary cap, and in order to improve, you have to create financial space, which means you have to have these lopsided trades that sound like you're losing, but you're eventually trying to get some money in the system to get a better player. So the following is imprecise, but they have to be imprecise because we don't have all the details yet. It's true that Dubois wants to play for his hometown Montreal Canadiens, but the Habs don't have good enough trade package to offer back. LA therefore steps in, and according to one source, the idea is to send Gabriel Velarde and Alex Iafallo to Winnipeg at a minimum. Perhaps Winnipeg adds a player, perhaps the Kings add a player. Those are the names that are being bandied about. Velarde is a restricted free agent. He had a career year last year with the Kings with 23 goals. He was the 11th overall pick for the Kings back in 2017. But until last year, he was considered an injury-prone prospect. Even last season, with the 23 career goals, which sounds amazing, he still missed a quarter of the year. So a reporter for The Athletic said the Kings were already talking contract extension with Dubois. In other words, can we make sure we lock him up long term before we send these assets up north? Dubois scored 27 goals last year, and he missed significantly fewer games than Velarde. He is a top six forward. He is a potential number one center who eventually would replace Anza Kopitar. And that matters because Kings fans such as myself, we've been talking up the future with Quinton Byfield, but his development has been at a snail's pace. Is he really a top forward, a top center? Thinking of the Kings without Kopitar is startling, but it's going to be inevitable. So, yeah, I mean, he hasn't said a word about retiring, but he has a $10 million per year contract, which is off the books next season. He is 35. He hasn't mentioned retiring. The belief is he wants to continue to play, but 35, 36, 37, etc. You got to expect a decline at some point. The Kings currently have $9 million in cap space. Part of that would have been earmarked to Velarde, unless he gets traded to Winnipeg. So again, I prefer an elite goalie, but GM Rob Blake has rebuilt the franchise on his terms, and he has done a pretty solid job. If I were to guess, the trade pieces are already in place. That's my belief. I think the Kings are talking to Dubois and saying, look, we can only offer you this for this year. What happens when Kopitar is off the books? How much do you want? And can we make it work? Julio Urias threw 60 pitches and allowed a run in 4 innings yesterday out at Rancho Cucamonga as part of his rehabilitation from a hamstring injury. Urias has not been with the big club since May 17th, over a month. Now, originally, the idea is that he was going to be back by around, say, June 9th, but he suffered a setback. He was last year's ERA champion. I don't even own any guns. Why'd I say NRA? He's last year's ERA champion in the National League, but he's also struggling in a contract year. The Dodgers have not said how many rehab starts Urias is going to get before they bring him back, but I have to wonder, how many millions of dollars is this season costing this kid? Right? It could be a lot of money. Because you consider without him, LA has started uber prospects Bobby Miller and Emmett Sheehan. Both have been electrifying. That is 40% of a future starting rotation right there, which would be far cheaper instead of retaining Urias. Does that drop a little hint as to what could happen this offseason? An injection into Chris Taylor's right knee did not alleviate the pain of a bone bruise, so he's going on the 10-day injured list. LA activated Yanni Hernandez from AAA Oklahoma City to fill the spot. Also, Max Muncy, scheduled to rejoin the team Tuesday in Colorado. Now, you hate to be cold-blooded, but this is a kind of a non-trade trade that you kind of like. Muncy has hit 18 home runs. Taylor's hitting only 208. If you're wondering about Freeman making 3,000 hits, he got his 2,000th yesterday, we could just only sketch. He's 33. He had 198 base hits last year. You figure around 200 hits per year, he might be able to get it at 38. But then again, you're battling father time. The body does break down, bat speed slows. You don't want to be called an idiot for thinking it could happen, but I wouldn't put a wager on it. Possible, but would you bet? LA is selling off relief pitchers. Selling them. Which is amazing to me because I didn't think anyone would want to cut the check for some of them. They sold off one guy a couple of days ago, I can't remember the name, to Boston. Andre Jackson is heading to the Pittsburgh Pirates for cash. Jackson's ERA with the Dodgers, 6.62 this year. Woof. In LeBron James's 6 years with the Lakers, there has been a ton of turnover every offseason. LA at the most has only managed to keep 7 players from the year prior at a maximum going into next year. Constant turnover with the Lakers under LeBron James. So they have 3 players under guaranteed contracts for next year. Just 3. Max Christie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. So even though they're publicly saying they want to run it back, let's get caught up on the offseason because they've never run it back before. How hard would it be? The first decision has to be made by Wednesday. That would be keeping Malik Beasley or Mo Bamba if they choose to do so. Keep or cut, straight up. As for other players to keep or let go, Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves are restricted free agents. The Lakers can match offers to keep them. D'Angelo Russell is called a full bird free agent, which means the Lakers can match up to the maximum in order to keep him. The hardest Lakers to keep, if they wanted to, quote, run it back, unquote, would be Dennis Schroeder and Lonnie Walker. LA can only give them a raise of 20% over their current contract. 20%. Anything after that counts against the salary cap. So if you want to run it back by keeping all of them, you're going to be telling Schroeder and Walker to take less than market value. Would they do that? But what if you're saying, let's go for broke, James? That championship window with LeBron, it's not that wide open. Sure, they got to the Western Conference Finals last year, but the man is 38 years old. You're thinking the draft was nice, but those are projects. They're not going to help immediately. So, if you cut Bamba, Beasley, if you renounce the rights to Hachimura, Reeves, Russell, Walker, and Schroeder, you get about 29 million in salary cap space. Then let's say you let Jared Vanderbilt walk as well. Now you're up to 32 and a little more than 32 million. And by the way, we haven't even approached what Anthony Davis would want in an extension to his contract, which expires after next year. So you have $32 million in salary cap space to go for that so-called third superstar to match up with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So again, the first step to figuring out the Lakers' plans for next year, because the draft wasn't about next year. The draft is about way off in the future. But the future for the Lakers for next year, the first idea comes Wednesday. What will they do with Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba? Former UCLA tight end Mercedes Lewis, and when I mean former, I'm talking the George W. Bush presidency. He wants to play for an 18th season in the NFL. 18. The free agent still believes that he can make an impact and says that he's willing to not ask for a huge paycheck in order to stick around. Quote, for older players, there's 2 things where they could potentially not get picked up. One is that their play has been declining for their role. The second thing is they're asking for too much money. I'm neither of those. I just want to compete. Which, good luck to him. I'm not saying he can't. Lewis was originally, though, drafted as a first rounder by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then he also played for a couple of years in Green Bay. Mercedes Lewis looking to play year number 18 in the NFL. Now, as for the Clippers, we mentioned the Lakers earlier. The reporters are saying one thing about the Clippers and the front office is saying another. All I can tell you about these rumors with Paul George, there's a guy who used to write for the LA Daily News, Howard Beck. Wound up writing for the New York Times, wound up writing for Sports Illustrated. I don't know if I trust him. I'm just being honest. I don't know if I trust him. He is claiming George is, quote, currently available, unquote, and that there's chatter in the Clippers front office about the frustration of not having won anything with the Kawhi Leonard-Paul George tandem. Meanwhile, that's what the reporters are saying. What are the Clippers saying? Team president Lawrence Frank said building around George and Kawhi Leonard is still the plan. Take what you want from it. I think Paul George is staying. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know how warm you are to the idea of finding a replacement for Anza Kopitar outside of the Kings' current crop of prospects. Let me know what you think about Julio Urias' near future for the Dodgers. And if you enjoyed talking LA sports with me, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos, because we talk LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.